Hybrid vehicles have become the fastest growing segment of the automotive market in 2024. They are outpacing fully electric cars by a wide margin, with the growth rate of hybrids up over 50% year over year, while full electric cars are growing at a mere 5% annually. This surge has allowed legacy automakers, particularly Toyota, to claw back some of the market share that they lost to Tesla in 2020 and 2021. This could potentially become a big problem. Elon doesn't like hybrid cars, and he's previously dismissed them as a phase that the world needs to move on from. But clearly, the world is not ready to do that. So has Tesla made a mistake by not addressing the hybrid market? Well, the simple answer to why Tesla doesn't make hybrid cars is because hybrids suck, objectively. By combining internal combustion and electric propulsion into one package, you end up with the worst of both worlds, and there's no reasonable argument against this. Here is an example to get us started. You know what a futon is, right? It's a couch that folds flat to be used as a bed. In theory, a great idea. 2 pieces of furniture in one easy package. But in reality, futons suck at being couches, and they also suck at being a bed. The hybrid is the futon of the automotive world. Inside our hybrid vehicle, you'll find an internal combustion motor, transmission, exhaust system, fuel tank, and everything else you would associate with a conventional automobile. Then, in addition, you get an electric motor and a lithium-ion battery pack. Some hybrids include a charging plug, some don't, but it really doesn't matter. Now, the first red flag should be that instead of subtracting components to achieve greater efficiency, we have added them. This is probably one of the most obvious reasons Elon is triggered by hybrids. The best part is no part. Hybrid cars spit in the face of everything that Musk has built his empire on. Beyond that, I think we can agree that fossil fuel extraction and consumption is bad for the environment, while at the same time acknowledging that mining nickel and cobalt to make batteries is also bad for the environment. Most EV owners accept that there's a trade-off involved with achieving a quote-unquote zero-emissions vehicle, but there's a certain audacity to hybrid enthusiasts who choose to support both sides while somehow retaining a smug virtue about their environmentalism. Our second red flag comes when people try to talk about efficiency. Here is the deal. When the car is burning fossil fuel, it's carrying around the battery pack and electric motor, which are heavy, and that means the engine has to burn more fuel to move around than it would have without being a hybrid. Now, mercifully, the battery and motor in a hybrid car is typically much smaller than their fully electric counterparts. But that becomes a big problem when we switch over to electric mode, and now that relatively small battery is dragging around a combustion engine, gearbox, and tank full of fuel that we are supposedly trying to avoid burning, yet are definitely going to need because the battery can't possibly hold out over any long distance because it's been sandbagged by the hybrid system. Now, beyond that, it's just not healthy for a combustion engine to be used in a hybrid scenario where it's constantly being switched on and off as needed over the course of the drive. The same can be said of those triggers that shut down the engine in a normal car when you stop at a red light and then turn it back on when you release the brake. If you have that in your car, go find the button to switch it off. The only purpose that serves is to put more money in the pockets of dealerships and service centers. At the same time, it's also not good for a lithium-ion battery pack to be constantly charged and discharged and run dead like the way that the undersized battery of a hybrid car is used. The electric propulsion side is underpowered for the job of moving a car, especially one carrying the dead weight of a combustion engine. And when you make lithium batteries work too hard, bad things happen. Beyond that, you'll never get the thrilling instant acceleration of an electric car from a hybrid system. The electric motor just does not get enough energy. In the best hybrids, the 2 motors can work together to provide extra power, but you're still tied to a combustion engine that needs to rev up and shift gears to accelerate. So, this presents a new problem that we need to contemplate. If hybrid cars suck, then why do people want them so bad? The simple answer is that they've been tricked. But life isn't actually that simple. There are objectively good qualities to the hybrid vehicle that do appeal to the average consumer. That is something we need to acknowledge. For all of the amazing creative potential of the human mind, we tend to be a people who are very resistant to change. We thrive on familiarity and security. This psychological trait is something that the hybrid plays to. It's the same, but different. You can still go to the gas station like you always have, just less often. This fear is intensified by North America's apparent inability to establish a reasonable charging network for electric cars. This is the number one concern that people raise when you try and talk about EVs. I've experienced this in my own conversations with friends and family. Everyone is afraid that the battery will die and they won't be able to recharge the car. Now, the thing about fear is that it's often irrational. People in Canada are afraid of spiders and snakes, even though we have virtually zero poisonous varieties in this country. People are afraid of airplanes, even though they're proven to be by far the safest form of transportation. And the idea that people will just stop being afraid if they are better informed, that's just not the way fear works. So, even though most EV drivers in most situations will never experience being left stranded by a dead battery, the fact remains that North America does kind of suck at electric car charging. Here's a chart from Larry Goldberg. He compares the number of EVs on the road versus the number of public charging stations. In China, there are over 13 million electric cars, which are supported by about 500,000 level 3 and 4 charging plugs, which works out to around 28 EVs per charging plug. That is the gold standard. In Europe, it's 106 electric cars per charger with 5.5 million EVs, and in North America, we are up to 136 electric cars per charging station, and we only have 3.2 million EVs. Of course, there's a lot of nuance in the real world that's not being captured in one simple chart, but if we wanted to illustrate the key point, this is it. And we should also factor in that this assumes every charging station in North America is functional, which we know is not the case. Downtime at public chargers that are not Tesla superchargers is a big problem, and even Tesla chargers go down. Elon Musk acknowledged this when he laid off much of the supercharging staff, saying that Tesla would continue to grow the network just at a slower pace for new locations and put more focus on 100% uptime. Now, there is no data to support this one, but anecdotally, there is a much bigger problem with charging station downtime in North America than anywhere else in the world. European chargers don't suffer from the same issue with reliability for whatever reason, but that's a bigger topic. Anyway, we also need to factor in money here. And I don't necessarily mean the cost of vehicles. Yes, fully electric cars are more expensive, and that's a barrier to entry for many people. Hybrids do tend to be much closer in price to their gasoline equivalents. No argument there. We are talking about real money, big money. You see, automakers know that going fully electric will destroy the dealership model. It will decimate the service industry associated with the automobile. Most dealerships don't make money selling cars. They make money doing oil changes and other routine maintenance tasks that are so simple they can pay a high school student minimum wage to do the work while charging a colossal markup. Of course, you can change your own oil, but not if you've got a new car with a warranty. Now you're locked into dealer-authorized service for years. And traditional automakers are addicted to the dealership models because it means that they don't actually have to worry about selling cars. It's the dealer's job to move the inventory. It's like a sick codependency. The automaker can get away with making poor quality product because they know the dealer will buy it, and then some coked up salesman is going to push it on a poor sucker who doesn't know any better. And the dealer is going to keep buying the inventory regardless of how good the product is, because the more cars they sell, the more service appointments they book, and the worse the quality of the vehicle, the more maintenance it's going to need. It's a race to the bottom, and they're taking us along for the ride. This is crystal clear and obvious to anyone who's not already inside the traditional automotive cyclone of nonsense, which is exactly the position that Elon Musk was in when the company began to take off. Whether Elon founded it or bought it doesn't really matter. He stepped up and took charge, and one of the big decisions he made was to eliminate the dealership from Tesla's business model. When you make a compelling product that offers unique features and solves problems, then the car sells itself. You don't need Slick Larry with the white powder on his nostrils and the bad-fitting suit to go out and find you a sucker. Anyway, the real reason is efficiency. When you move from a gasoline car to a hybrid, the only advantage is reducing the overall amount of gasoline that gets burned, but the car itself still manages to be even worse for the environment while retaining all of the old problems associated with combustion engines. But when you go fully electric, the advantages become epic. You eliminate so many of the failings that have plagued the automotive world for the better part of the last century. The only price you pay is in money, a little bigger monthly payment, and convenience. You need to think a little more to navigate the world. And that's life. There's always a trade-off, but it's one that Elon Musk considered worthwhile. And if we look at everything that Tesla has accomplished in just 10 years, it would be hard to say that they're the ones making the wrong decision.